Welcome back to Bad Nightmarish Night, episode 4. We're on episode 4, but in the last episode, we talked about video games that some people might not like or that didn't get the recognition that they deserved. We talked about a lot of our personal ones. We talked about Marvel movies and my problem with the new Marvel Cinematic Universe, a lot of the new movies and shows and all that kind of stuff. And I can't remember the other stuff that we talked about, but yeah, this is Bad Nightmarish Night, just a complete train wreck. But something that always stays the same, stays consistent every episode. Ben, what song are you listening to?
Listening to Honey by Moose Blood. It's a 10 out of 10. Like, basically any song by Moose Blood is a 10 out of 10, like, that I'm going to talk about just because they're like basically a 10 out of 10 band. Like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Listen to their songs and then think about the lyrics and then ask yourself why this isn't a 10 out of 10. But yeah, it's really good. Just listen to it. I'm not even gonna say what it's like. Just listen to it. So you guys are forced to listen to it. All you gotta know is it makes me feel happy and also think, damn, that's kind of some real shit. But I mean, that's like the best way to explain it. I don't know. And then, some people might be able to relate.
Hmm.
Here, I'll read some of the lines at least. I'll give you guys a taste. It's in the back of my mind, but it's worse when I sleep. Now I'm losing my breath. I'm not gonna read any more. But yeah.
It sounds pretty cool. They have a Honey by Moose Blood. Moose Blood's a cool name for a band.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite songs by them, but like my absolute favorite song is Cherry. That song is perfect. It's so sad though. But yeah, Swim Down is another favorite of mine. That one is a literal perfect song. Don't even say you disagree with me because I will tell you all the reasons why you're wrong. I do not care how long I got to argue. We could go back and forth for eternity. I just feel that way wholeheartedly. Like it's just so good.
I see.
No disrespect on anyone else's opinion, but I'm just saying like how much, or not even this. I'm just saying how good it is. Like, but I don't mean any disrespect on anyone who disagrees with me. That's just my opinion,
Alrighty,
respectfully.
respectfully. Well, that was the classic "What song has been listening to" segment. Yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, every episode, you know, I feel like they sound like slightly more professional, but just slightly, you know. Like I don't fuck up on the intro or do some. I
Oh
mean, we
yeah.
do stupid
It's
shit all the
it's
time.
it's impressive. We aren't rehearsing or anything. We're just diving into it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like just before we start, I was just like, what did we talk about in the last episode, just so I could give a little recap, and then boom, just kind of started the recording. It's October, so I got the Halloween background, just like the last episode. Jack
Oh,
Skellington.
uh-huh, that's fire. I
Mm-hmm.
just got my classic rain background right now. I'll upload to the channel that one episode I recorded a while ago. Like the quality is really shitty, but I'll upload that like sometime way later. Like once we hit, since we're at like 800 million right now, no, I'm playing, but since we're at I don't even know. I'll drop it when we're popular. I don't even know. I can't even say a specific number because I'm not gonna just completely bait you guys because I know I'll probably forget. But I'll drop it at some point. Shitty ass mic quality. Like my mic isn't bad, but for some reason the noise cancel. Like it's not amazing, but like it has like it's supposed to have built-in noise cancellation and echo cancellation, and for some reason OBS like turns that off, and that's the only time that it's ever actually like been off for me. And Discord puts on noise cancellation and echo cancellation and all that on top of the ones I already have. So my voice sounds like extra muffled. I mean, as you guys can hear, that's what you guys are hearing right now. But yeah, it's gonna be bad quality, but I don't even remember what we talked about, so I can't. I'll just say it'll be interesting at least. And also, you guys get to see all of my my shortcuts on my computer, so I know you guys really want to see that.
Oh man, I forgot about
But
that
yeah, we can't
one.
spoil anything on
Yeah,
it, but
there's another one too that I'm thinking of.
yeah.
That one was the only thing I'll let be known about that is that it was a school project.
Oh yeah, we will definitely drop
That is
that once
one
we're
that is
popular. But we have to be like really popular.
yeah, I'm gonna make the milestone now. We've got to have at least 1 million subscribers before we drop it. At least. Or like
Yeah,
listeners per month or however that like depending on what you're listening to.
we'll make
Like
it fair. We'll say like across all platforms,
yeah.
monetized, like 1,000 like monetized listens or whatever.
Yeah, it
Like
is the way they describe it is cursed. Cursed comedic genius um and controversial for that
yeah,
one part. But like more like in a like trying to like get people to go, "Oh my god," you know what I mean, like that type of thing. Not like a really bad controversial. You'll see it whenever we get to the 1 million mark, you know. We're a little ways
yeah.
away from that. We're only, 2 subscribe. I'm just kidding.
It's controversial. We're still talking about the school project one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the topics are controversial. Um, because we were basically it was supposed to be what the name is, and what the name is explains why we were being so random. We were covering, like lighter, funny, like topics, dark ones all around. Like we were trying to get like everything in
Yeah, we
there,
were
and we
just
had
like
some
kind of throwing
controversial
everything
ones
in there.
because it was supposed to be a certain thing, and once you read the title, you'd be like, ah, so that's why all this stuff's so
Hmm.
weird. Boom.
Just completely random, different severity of topic, I guess is the way to say it. Like,
Yeah, and it like built up as it went on.
yeah, that,
I just sneezed.
gazoon tight.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that one will come out whenever we get to the 1 million milestone. There's no, because here's the thing. We could like do it when we get to 100,000. Because I mean, if we have 100,000 listeners or subscribers or like across the platforms or whatever, yeah, that's a lot of people, and we will appreciate all of those people and stuff like that. But I personally want that to become like the stuff that we talk about to become like a meme. You know what I mean? Like it's big enough to be like a huge meme, like in like the meme community
Yeah, I agree.
and all the different meme communities across the social media platforms. It would be like I
And
don't
that's
know,
just
like
because it's actually deserving of it, not just because we're like, oh, we want
yeah,
it. Like,
that'd be
no,
like
like
if
once
Joe
you guys hear it,
Rogan. It'd be like if Joe Rogan uploaded like a podcast that he did like years and years ago that was like super like random or whatever, but he uploaded it just to show people like the OG or like the
like,
first time he ever like
it's
did it.
so good in its own ways. It's like amazing because it's like we had the torch of, all right, this is our first time. Let's just go all out. Like, let's just give our all for
Yeah,
this, even though we don't know what we're doing.
because
And
it was a school project, so we had to like the thing we were like forced to actually like just come up with the topics, and we had to
And we
like
also kept telling our teacher it had been done for 2 weeks, but that the file kept
oh we
having
did the day
errors,
of.
and we did it, like, the day of our,
Yeah,
like, 2-week extension, bro, that we gave ourselves 'cause we but that was just because we literally would sit here for hours every single day trying to come up with a topic that was interesting, but also ourselves, like, a part of ourselves. Like, even though it was super, like, wacky and stuff, it's, like, some of the
but it
stuff
was like
that
all calculated kind of in the same way with like how like
yeah.
what we came up with, what we devised. Like we like he's not
Like, we
lying.
knew
Like
what
we
we
used
were
to sit
doing.
here until like midnight on school nights, just you know like thinking of ideas, or like if we did come up with an idea, we would like try like expanding on that, or like think about like, will this be like good enough? Because we also had a time limit too. We weren't allowed to make it like too long because it is a project, and he was
Yeah.
like having everybody listen to them like in like the class, like during those like kind of like podcast presentations or whatever, because it was like a speaking class. But yeah, that's this were that was like one of like three fond memories of that class,
Yeah.
because that teacher like absolutely despised me. Again, I'm not going to name any
Me,
names
he
or
kind
anything.
of fucked with me because um but he was also like had some just slight annoyance. He straight up hated him, but like, he kind of fucked with me because I told him I was going to improv everything from the beginning of the year. And I was like, I know I'm probably not going to be as good at it at first. So I was like, but I'm going to improv everything because I want to get good at improving. And I was like, if I get good enough, then I can do it for every project. But the thing is, I was able to just do everything right off the bat. Um, and it was because the year prior, I tried improving a thing and I got like half of the time limit like perfect, and then I drew a complete blank because I started thinking about how I couldn't wait to be done, and then I started thinking about how I couldn't wait to go and play games when I got home. And I'm not even gonna say what games. Um, but like, and then I just lost my train of thought. I was like, wait, what? Because I was in like a debate class, and it was just like a speech. It had nothing to do with actual debating, but like it was just like a speech thing that I didn't feel like doing because I just, if I don't find the topic interesting, I just can't do it. But after that failure, I mean, it wasn't a total failure, but after that failure, I refused to fail in improv. And that whole year, like fast forward, and then that whole year in communications, I improved everything. And no, I think it was actually a few of my speeches, I actually made some people cry. Like a lot of people's eyes were watering, but like I actually made some people straight up cry, and I saw them because I actually look into everybody's eyes, and as I like gaze at the room. I don't look over their heads. I look directly into their eyes because I know that I have to actually hit them in their soul. And the reason I did so well is I just spoke from the heart and the mind at the same time. So I like I I was giving people some enlightening on a lot of things, but not because I'm like super wise, but just because I've had a lot of failures and I have a lot of talent. But now that I have all those failures and I also have a lot of talent and ambition, um, I was able to just actually reach people. And the thing is, I wasn't like trying to like I never wrote a speech. Like he literally, after my first speech, and some of them that were so good that like he never cried, but he almost cried like from how like I don't know like how much emotion I put into one of them. And he was like, "Oh, I'll take your outline now for your speech," and I was like, "I don't have it." He's like, "What? You can just send it." And I was like, "I didn't write that speech." I was like, "I told you." I was like, I'm not doing this like to be cool or anything. I was like, I just don't feel like wasting my time writing a speech because it'll feel too robotic. And I think he finally started to understand that I truly was going to improv everything, and I did. I did. And I always got an A on every single speech. Um, like I always got an A. And the funniest part is the reason I didn't have like a 96 or 97% in that class is because I lost points because I didn't do the outlines. I was losing points because I just refused to do it. And he was like, "Well, you should type one up after." And I was like, "Nah, I told you I don't feel like doing it. That's why I didn't do it. I don't need it." And I wasn't being like a douche. I was being honest. I was like, I really don't need it. Like, it's fine. I don't care. I still have an A, but I love that class. Um, And the funniest part is, I'm not popular. I wasn't popular or anything, I was cool with some people, but I wasn't alone or anything, but like I wasn't like popular, and I actually reached people, and that just shows that, I actually reach people's ears. And it, that's why every day, like you always got to think to yourself. You got to speak from your heart. You also got to think about what you say before you say it. So you got to use your mind too. But if you speak from the heart, then you're gonna actually reach people with what you have to say, reach them with your words. Because a lot of people like to tune you out. A lot of people just think they know better in every single way. Not everybody, but a lot of people they just think that they know so much better than everybody else. That's one of the things that Austin and I have talked about a lot. But that's the lesson I've taken is just speak from the heart and the mind at the same time. What a
Heck yeah.
rhyme.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he just didn't like me because I didn't take his class seriously. Because
Yeah,
I was just more like, I could give good speeches, and I did. And I never did the outlines either, but it was literally just because I didn't really want to type them. I was a little lazy. I hated, I just didn't like at least the first parts of my senior year. He despised me, even though that at least at the beginning of the year I turned in my work, right? I was I didn't like strive to like be perfect and do everything, but I would usually turn in my work. Sometimes I would take tactical L's, like where I just wouldn't do it because it's like,
Tactical L.
yeah, it's tactical L where you're just like, I could write this paper, the speech, but I'm gonna have to stress over. Well, I don't get like stressed out, but I'm gonna have to really like rush over it and really like kind of like use a lot of my. And it was my class was in second period, so I had to like, if I wanted to do something, I had to get it done in first period or get it done like in homeroom. And your boy used that time to sleep or to listen to music or to watch Netflix. So you know, I wasn't gonna do any work in the morning, but I decided, there was a lot of things that I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm not going to do. And then he would like get on me about it. I mean, I guess, again, that's understandable because I'm not doing his work. But at the same time, like, I would go up there and like give at least like better speeches than everybody in my class. But literally just because I actually at least put in like a little bit of effort in like what I was going to say, like in articulating my words. But like everybody in my class just didn't give a shit because they thought that they could just take the class, kind of like say a little bit like for a minute and then like sit back down or whatever. But but our teacher was very like what's the word, like very like strict on like the rules, like you have to get it within the time limit. Like there was ones where we had to do in like a minute, right, like a minute exactly or like almost a minute. And then there was other ones that he would give, would be like, okay, you need to like speak for like, it's like a 4 minute speech or whatever. And I would actually try hitting the mark and try at least like bringing value to the speeches and stuff. I didn't just like bring in like fluff. I guess it's the, like I didn't just like talk out of my ass for 4 minutes. I would actually try imparting like a message or something in my words of wisdom to, the people that were in the grade that were in the same grade as me, the grade just below me, because that's like it was like 11th and 12th graders in that class. But, even though that I was the one that actually put effort into the speeches, I wasn't a popular kid, and like everybody else in my class was a popular kid. So, and they ran track and stuff, so that they already got points just for running track. I mean, it's the truth. It
yeah.
happened. Literally, he favored people that I mean, I guess it's
It
kind
would
of
be a
understandable.
speech that he would give anybody else like a C, but then I mean it was also probably not even just because they were track kids, but he's like, man, if I don't give them this, they're not going to be able to play in the next 3 games
Yeah, like
or meets or whatever. My
I know
bad.
that like sports are like cool and you want your teams to win and stuff because he was involved with like the track and field stuff, right? Or he was like the coach, I think.
Yes,
But
he was the coach.
he was extremely biased towards all the kids that ran track. And I mean, I know you know them, you talk to them, you've coached them, you maybe have like befriended some of them, just like being a coach, like just knowing them and stuff like that. You have a good relationship with like your student, like the students that did play and stuff. But man, he was like extremely biased, like to the point
Yeah.
where like he would give like he never gives out perfects, right? But he would definitely skew the grades at least more higher up for like the track kids. And like since I didn't really take the class seriously, and since I wasn't involved in any sports or anything, he would just like always be like emailing me and stuff like that. It was just it was so funny. Cause like I thought it was funny. Like that's like the whole like that's the kicker in all of this is that I wasn't even bothered at all. Like there was a time where I had like an F in that class because I didn't like turn anything in, but then he also didn't grade a lot of my stuff. I don't know, just because he was saving my stuff for last, or he just didn't get to it or whatever. But it literally looked like I was failing that class, and I was like my mom was like angry at me because she was like, I mean, you shouldn't be failing this. I was like, well, I did turn in a lot of work. It's just that the grades aren't in there yet. So I mean, I'm just waiting. And like, I thought it was just hilarious. I thought it was comical. Like, I know that probably sounds weird, but it was just like so funny because he just like for some reason just really didn't like me. So I just like I
Yeah,
embraced it. I just pretty
and
much
it was
embraced the hate.
hilarious because even though he like hated you whenever we would get together for a project, just because I was on it, he was like, "I."
He was a little more lenient because I was in a project with Ben. But the thing is that Ben and I always like made banger like projects. Like they were like absolutely god tier. Like we
Yeah.
for our final in that class, like just before school ended, it was like what 2 days before school ended. We went into our auditorium and we had to, you could do like a game show or you could do like a speech or like you had to like do something like interesting or have something of value. And then for the seniors, we were seniors, we had to kind of do like a farewell thing as well, kind of like saying goodbye to the people of uh of our school. Wow, almost just straight up doxed us. Uh the people of our school.
Or Shul.
And pretty much what Ben and I did was we made a play making fun of our teacher.
I can take the credit of writing it.
Yes, Ben did write it, but I
Came up with the
also
script, but he was
but the
the
thing
star
is
of this of the
but the thing
play.
is I came up with the idea of the entire play. So I can take credit for that cuz I was like what if we
Yeah.
did a play about our teacher making fun of him? And then I was like, Ben, I give you full writing creative control cuz I know that Ben is just an
And
expert writer.
and then we were like, "What the fuck are we gonna do about props?" And we were like, "Ah, well,
Yeah,
we'll
so
just
I
get
literally
paper
took
and."
like pieces of printer paper and then I just took like a black Sharpie and I just wrote whatever the props were supposed to be and we got a bunch of our friends to be trees. So I just wrote like
Yep.
tree, tree,
And they would like hold
tree.
their arms out and stuff.
Yeah, and
Some
I
of
like
them
taped
did.
it on
Some just
them.
held the sign.
Yeah, they
Some
like
really
taped
got
it.
into it.
Yeah, some of them
But
really wanted to play a tree.
but yeah, he would eat a banana. I was in the period right before lunch, and he would always eat a banana because that was like, I guess that was like his lunch or like right before lunch he would eat a banana. Everybody likes snacks. And he was always also like pretty healthy because he was like the track coach. He actually would like, I think he would actually like do some of the stuff with them. But um, anyway, he would eat a banana every period is the point right before lunch. In my class period, we were in different ones. Although sometimes we would obviously get together on projects because sometimes it was between classes. But in the play, I wrote a scene where he makes a deal with an evil like alter ego of himself in the mirror in the bathroom that if he never gives out perfects when it should clearly be a perfect speech, like it's clearly perfect because some just are. Not every single one, but some just are. And he made a deal with this, I guess, archdemon version of himself in the mirror type thing that he'll never give out perfects and get a banana in return. That's all he gets is a banana every fourth period. And I shined my light like during the play, like I shined my phone light and like waved it. I was all the way on the side of the stage because I was the narrator sitting on a stool, and I like waved
Dude, it was so
my
hot on the
phone
stage.
flashlight, and I threw the banana. We didn't rehearse this.
I wasn't
I
ready
threw
for
the
this.
banana, and I was surprised I actually threw it that well. First of all, but
Yeah,
he
you threw
hit
it in a
like
pretty
an
good spot, but
amazing
then
snag.
I literally just like he threw it like in my area, but like I was standing still and like I ain't no like wide receiver or anything, but I literally just like took like two large steps forward and then I just like caught it with like one hand before like cuz it was like gonna probably like hit the stage and bounce off like onto the ground in front and I literally like grabbed it, and then I was not expecting it because I didn't know that Ben was gonna do that. Like, I knew that maybe eating a banana would have like happened again to make fun of our teacher, but Ben just straight up like just threw one at me, and I was like, oh okay, and I caught it, and then I started eating the banana because I ate in like 4 bites. I had to because the way that it was like described, like the way that Ben wrote it, it was like he took one bite and then he took another bite and it was like, and then he finished it. I was like, what? There was like half a banana left. I was like, what? So I literally just like went, I just took like, I took one bite, took 2 bites. I was still chewing it. I don't like eat like a mongrel. So I'm like sitting there chewing it. And then Ben reads the script and he's like, and then he finishes the rest of it all in one bite or something. It was something like that. And I literally went, what? And then I just like went, and like I just
made
ate it like,
super detailed. I was like so voraciously, like so like something something something. I
yeah,
don't
it was
know.
like his
I
lips
wish I saved it.
smacking and
Did
stuff.
I save a copy? I don't think I did.
Dude, I can't believe that we didn't
I
save a
have.
copy.
Wait, I might have the printed copy in my room somewhere.
Yeah, we need that because first of all, I want to retype it just in a Google
Because
Doc
that
because I
was
want it to be
obviously
saved
something
forever.
we actually wrote. Was we wrote our final project because. I mean, how are we gonna improv a play with a bunch of people? I'm not just gonna be like, "Oh, I need you, you," in the middle of the play. Like,
Yeah, it was, and then like
I
our
mean,
friends like, wait,
I
what?
don't know. We could improv a play sometime. I mean, it's not impossible. It's
Okay,
just like
well,
for
here's
that
the
type
thing.
of
I
thing,
want
we
to be the
obviously
type
could.
of YouTuber slash podcaster slash whatever. I want it to be to the point where like we can just kind of just do what we want. Like obviously we would still do like these episodes where we're actually just talking about stuff, but it'd be really cool if we could get like a stage or whatever set up and we just like improv stuff with like during like a live stream or something. Like I feel like that'd be really cool. Or like either we have just like an idea of what it's going to be but we didn't write anything, or like we have like maybe the viewers like come up with some funny like concept or something.
Yeah,
That would be really fun. I mean, we're no actors or anything, but it would still be very fun.
it would be fun to like actually try and see
Yeah.
how good we are with no experience or how bad we are with no
Yeah,
experience.
because
Like,
either way it's going to be memed about, so that's all that matters.
exactly, and it's gonna be fun. So it's gonna make me money if we're big, obviously, because we're not gonna do it till we're big. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna make us money. It's gonna make you guys entertained. It's gonna be fun for us. I mean, it's not like we're gonna be act like we aren't making money once we're big. Like,
Yeah. I
if
mean,
we
it's
have a
always
million monthly listeners, then
yeah, I mean, we're going to be making some bank, and I mean, the thing is that even though obviously we're going to obviously divide that money and just, live our lives and stuff. I mean, I'm also willing to
which
put
we
money,
will appreciate, by the
exactly.
way.
But like I'll also be willing to put like money back in, or like whenever we make like revenue or whatever from like sponsorships or like, ads or however, it'd be really cool if what we do is we we have like a certain percentage of it that's kind of like set aside that just like accumulates, and then like that's like the money that we use just to like always like to put it back in to improving the podcast or the
Yeah,
streams or the videos or whatever. Because I mean, I don't want to only just do a podcast. I mean, we're gonna eventually like start like streaming once we start getting a bit of a following, whenever a lot of people
yeah,
will be willing to watch and enjoy, even if they don't like. The thing is I'm not just streaming just for the idea that people will donate like during the live stream or anything. Like I also want it because it's fun like interacting with people live. Like it's cool like seeing people and
yeah.
being like asking them
Giving
about like their day
suggestions
and
and we just
stuff.
try it out right then if it's
Exactly.
doable.
So it's always fun like doing that kind of stuff. But back to the play story that we're telling, which is a true story. I ate that banana in 4 bites, and I had to chew the entire thing because again I'm not a mongrel. I don't like eat like fast or anything. So like I'm sitting there
I
like
mean,
chewing
the
the
sample
banana.
that, bro.
But I'm sitting there like eating the first 2 bites because I took 2 big bites of the banana because he said, in the story, like that's what he did.
Yeah,
And then like he made it like very, very descriptive. It was extremely, extremely descriptive. But that's like that was part of the humor of it, was like to make it like so
yeah.
descriptive that it was almost like weird. But like it was
That
so
we had that little
everybody was
production
laughing.
describing such a grand scene.
Yeah, everybody was laughing. That people there was some people like dying laughing. Like they were like,
Some people were crying from laughing.
yeah. And even
Only it
our
was recorded.
teacher, who we were making fun of for that entire 15-minute play, was dying laughing. I have
Yeah.
never seen him laugh like that. The last time I saw him laugh like that was I took another the reason I took a class that my senior year, that speech class, was because I took another class. It was like about like sports literature and stuff. It was like, more about like that side of sports, which was really interesting. I loved that class, and our teacher didn't hate me at that time, but like I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that class. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take another one. This is going to be fire. But it wasn't until at least the project phase of like the year, like in like the last like 10
I have
weeks.
a picture of him on Zoom holding a white Gatorade bottle, like the Glacier Ice or whatever, like right next to his head, and he's like pouring it out, and it's like right before any comes out, there's like a drop hanging, and it just doesn't look very good because of the low quality of the Chromebook or whatever too.
Yeah, because we were
That's
given
all
like
I'll say. I mean, we
really
all know
low
what
quality Chromebooks.
the Glacier Gatorade looks like, and if you don't just look up white Gatorade and
Yeah,
imagine that with a low quality zoom camera.
like he was dying laughing. Everybody in the theater, well, in the auditorium, was dying laughing. We didn't have a full house. I mean, we didn't go to a huge school, so our auditorium wasn't like huge or anything. But it had like I don't know how many seats there were in it, but there was like I don't know what, like 20 rows. Or is that too much? 20 sound like 15
I'm
rows,
not.
you think?
I think 15.
Like 15 rows, and like there were, and on each side there was like rows of like 5. I think it was like 5 or 6, going up 15, but then in the middle there
Yeah.
was like a larger, like maybe like 8 or 10 seats. No, it was more than like 12 seats that like went up for like 15 rows, and then on the other side it was like the 6 seats going up 15. So that just gives you an idea. It was something like that. Just imagine like that in your mind, and like half of those were probably filled because we invited like a lot of our favorite teachers in their classes as well, just because
Yeah, and my
it was also our
absolute
farewell.
favorite teacher couldn't make it, but I still did get to talk to her and thank
Yeah,
her,
because we
and
talked to her
she had no
beforehand.
idea that she knew that she was probably one of my favorite teachers, but she didn't know that she was like my absolute favorite teacher. I was like, yeah, I was like, thank you. Like,
That
and
was
yeah, she was like a very important role model in my life. But
yeah,
yeah,
I she was an awesome teacher. She wasn't like how it is for Ben, like she was a very big role model, but
like
she definitely had an
basically
influence on me for
I
writing.
was yeah, so basically I always tested like extremely above average like in English, and I was just average for math and stuff like that, but like for English and literature and all that, like I literally I mean, I'm pretty sure I showed you the in 8th grade. Like in 8th grade I literally was in like the top like 5% in the nation or something for like our age group because it was like by grade. Like the star reading test, or I think that's what it was. It was like
Yeah,
I
like
looked and
those
I read it.
things.
It was across the whole nation. I was in like the super super small green percentile, like that little green that was cut off, and I was like in the middle of it. So like I was in the middle of the super small green line, and I was never moved up into the advanced class ever because of the whole like your family actually has to like know the people there to get moved there, and there's a lot of kids in those classes that don't actually belong there in terms of their actual level. And I'm not just saying like, oh, they're too stupid or anything. Like, no,
But like
like,
they would
and
be more
it hurts
suited
their
to
learning
yeah, they'd be
if they
more
can't
more suited
understand.
to yeah, exactly. Like it's one thing to always strive to like push yourself or to, take maybe more difficult classes, but the thing is that especially back like whenever we first went to high school, and our like we didn't have a middle school. Our high school just started at like 7th grade, and
Yeah,
like 7th to 12th, everybody was like in the same building, and like I was I was supposed like whenever I because they give you a schedule. Like they give you like your schedule at least. Okay, well back whenever we were in 7th grade, like 6th grade going into 7th grade, they mailed us the like this is back whenever people used to mail stuff to each other, not use digital emails. Uh, they would mail us like our schedules or whatever, and like mine said that I was in like the math like 1 year ahead, but like to be honest, I didn't
Yeah.
really want to be there because I knew that I would only be with like the other kids in my grade that were up there, but I was friends with like people that would have just been in what was it, pre-algebra
Yeah,
7
and
or
plus,
something
just
like
because of
that.
our what our school was like, it wasn't like very, even though, well, not for all, but like for some of the classes, it wasn't like a huge difference being advanced, just because like our school wasn't super prestigious, so like you weren't actually going to be going up super high,
Yeah, there were very
like
few classes that really you could say like, yeah, this was like, because we had like honors English. There was pretty much only 1 year. There was one, no, there was 2 years where honors English actually meant honors English, and that was whenever I was in 10th grade, and that was with the teacher that Ben was talking about how she was a huge role model. Her, she was a great teacher, and she really taught us a lot. And I
oh
remember
yeah,
this is a core memory. We read Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. That's what it was originally called, was the Modern Prometheus. Um, and pretty much that is one of the greatest books I've ever read. And like I understand why it's on like every list of like the greatest books ever written. It is like that good. Like I want to reread it. I need to go buy it again. I was actually I was considering buying it. I went to a bookstore not too long ago, and I was like, I was looking for it and I couldn't find it because I didn't buy it the last time, even though I found it the last time. But that book is
Mm.
so fucking good. Like I don't. It's like that good.
What's it called again? I need to read it.
It's called, well, nowadays it's called Frankenstein or the Modern
Oh,
Prometheus. That's
oh
usually like what the
yeah,
title
I
is.
need to read that. Easton was telling me the same thing.
Exactly. Him and I were in the same class. We actually sat next to each other.
But yeah, the reason why she was such a huge role model for me is so like that's the background. Like I was extremely advanced. Like I was ahead of like I mean I could confidently say I was ahead of everybody in my grade. Like probably even my school, other than like one person. Um, which I'm not even gonna say their name, so I don't like dox them because they have a really unique name. Um, but there was one other person who
Oh,
I
I think I know who
actually
you're talking about
considered
then.
like my equal, actually more above me. She was like the only person I would consider above
Oh, I
me.
know exactly what you're talking about. I remember, again, I'm not going to say her name or anything, but I remember that in one of the
In
creative writing
terms of
classes, she
actual
wrote
like
like an
writing,
entire
she was
book.
definitely above me. Like definitely above me. The only thing that I had was I had more creativity, but she was so much better than me though, and I consider myself like the best, but she's like the hidden king, bro. She's like the true best that nobody even knows about, like because she just didn't
Yeah.
really care to make it known. She didn't want it to be.
And she just used to write all the time. I mean, I remember there was an assignment that was like 5 pages, but she wrote like 60 because she wanted to
Yeah,
keep going.
because she was just too interested.
That's exactly what how you need to be whenever you're passionate about something. Like you can tell when somebody
Yeah,
cares or they're passionate. Like she could write for hours on end and still like have just as much fun and enjoyment and still have like the flow as like
yeah,
only writing for 10 minutes or like 30 minutes or whatever. Like you need to have that kind of will to do it and like the love for it, because
yeah,
sometimes people choose to do stuff and it's like they're not. That's why like I didn't go to college, and that's because I didn't feel committed to it. Like I don't want to go to, because they're like people like, you need to go to college, blah blah blah, all that stupid shit. Like yeah, college has gotten people good jobs and all that kind of stuff, but the thing is that I'm not committed to it. I know that I would just start procrastinating, or at least like not have the will to do stuff. Not because I'm not determined. I'm a very determined person, but it's only whenever I'm actually determined to do something when I care about it. But going to college, I really didn't care about it. I just randomly said I wanted to be an engineer for years just to get people off my back and like my family off my back. And then I just was like, yeah, I'm not going to college. I just like I want to be passionate about it. There's other things that I would rather do that would make me happier. That's what matters. I
yeah.
got a little philosophical out there, but I had to say it.
But yeah, and so this all comes full circle though, because like I was always told like, "Oh, there's no way you're really that good," but my tests each year proved it more and more, and my assignments proved it more and more. I mean, I literally, like, we would get assigned like anywhere from five, like up to like 5 pages was like the average assignment, like 1 to 5 pages in my in one of my classes. Like about every single day or like every other day there was an assignment, and I would literally type it even if it was 5 pages, some of them even 10 pages, because they were like it was like creative writing, so it wasn't like I needed sources. So because it would obviously take too long if I needed sources.
Source?
But yeah, but I was able to type those even if they were 10 pages. I would type them in the class period before it even ended, like 20, 30 minutes. I'd type 10 pages, 10-page story. I was also so like, the thing is, I'm like so good with grammar and stuff like that. I still have Grammarly installed, but like literally everything is just, there's no actual errors.
I
But
just can't
the
type
thing
worth
is,
shit. It's terrible. I
yeah,
only type with 2 fingers.
but the thing is, even though that I'm super good at grammar and stuff, I couldn't explain to you how. I literally can't explain to you how. I get it. I'm like, this goes here, this goes here. If you ask me why, I couldn't tell you. I don't understand why. I just know that it goes in all these places, and I haven't been wrong. And I always got hundreds on everything for grammar, just because
I
it's like
mean, it's just
I have
something that
that
you
like
were kind of like born
ingrained.
with, or like
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of,
know.
or like either you had a huge influence on something in your life and you just don't realize it, or you were just kind of you're just born to kind of like be better. I mean,
I've
look at like
also
the
been reading like books that were like 6 to 8 years above me, like since about first grade. So just because I thought that the covers looked interesting and I wanted to read them, and I never really had trouble reading them in the first place. But like if I didn't know a word, I would piece it together by reading the context clues. But the thing is, even though I'm like, getting ahead of myself talking about how good I am at writing and literature and all that stuff, like the thing is, though, I suffered in other areas. Like, I am not good at history. I couldn't even tell you the exact date of when the Declaration of Independence was signed. I couldn't tell you. I literally can't remember dates. I know my own birthday and literally like three other people's birthdays, because I just can't remember other people's birthdays. Like, I don't know why. I've just never been able to. So I don't know. Um, so I wasn't very good at history. But luckily, I was so lucky. Like, I was literally just so lucky at guessing. And I would just guess on every history test, and I literally passed with an 85%, like 3 or 4, 9 weeks in a row, like the exact same percentage. I did all the homework though, because that saved my grade. So that's why like he gave a lot of homework literally for people like me who just sucked at taking the tests. Because I just couldn't learn. Like I thought the topics were interesting. Like um like a lot of the Native American stuff that we learning like the real history and not the, oh, Christopher Columbus is a great guy. Like none of that shit. We learn the real shit. Like,
yeah.
and how fucked up the history is.
I
But it
love
was good
history.
because it
Just
was so real. He actually taught us what it was about. So I knew like most of that stuff, but like the dates, I sucked at all of them. But also if it was a topic I didn't find interesting, like I didn't find like a lot of the stuff with the British interesting, um, like back
British.
then, because I just, I didn't care about history. I still don't really care about history, but I like some of the topics in it. Like I like some of it, but you know, I just find some of it interesting, but most of it I don't really care to learn. And it's not because, I'm like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like spending time on it when, man, I gotta spend time on thinking about the future right now. I'm sorry.
I loved history. Because that like even though the dates are obviously important in history, you can always write dates down. I think what really matters, like in terms of like wanting to remember history, is more just like actually like learning about like the true events and like things that like actually happened and stuff, and kind of like the impact that it had on the world and like on society and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's more like I'm kind of. It sounds like I'm getting more into like sociology and that kind of stuff, but like, you know, the reason history was like interesting and fun to me and why I always took like the super advanced history classes was because, well, first of all, history just interests me, like learning about all the stuff that happened in the past, but also like, you know, after learning a lot of European history especially, it actually helped me kind of like realize the picture of why the world is the way it is today. You know what I mean? Like learning about a lot of the because I took like the advanced like European history class, and I didn't take the American history advanced class or whatever because I didn't give a shit. But like just taking that advanced European history class, I learned like I don't know, it was weird. It was kind of like all the pieces fit together, you know, kind of like the
Yeah,
like some of the reasons like the things like the reason like some things the way they are now like is because of like obviously stuff that has happened back then, and it was just cool for me to kind of like kind of like paint the picture, kind of like connect all the dots in my mind of why things are the way that I mean obviously people there's like sociologists and people like that like still debate about certain events causing certain socioeconomical like effects and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
but and there will always be speculation about that because you can't always just always only point a finger at one thing, but at the same time like that's like the beauty of it where you can just kind of like make your own assumptions about why things the way they are. I don't know. I also felt like an intellectual whenever I learned about history for some reason. I didn't feel like I was better than anybody. It was just like for some reason I felt like I was actually doing something intelligent for the first time in my life.
oh yeah, I completely forgot. You just saying that completely reminded me. But yeah, the reason why I was like, I guess bragging about how good I am, but like I said, I suck in other areas. I'm shit at math. I'm shit at history. Like,
You brag. You're a
so it like
bragger.
even out. It evens out. Like, so
You're
It's not like
gloating.
I'm
You're
good at
gloating.
everything. But I for years was like, a lot of people were like, nah, there's no way you're really that good, or why aren't you in the special class and like the whatever it was called, like the honors class, yeah. And it was literally because the office, like I said, it was like they would let their like friends' kids, like people who work there's like would get like their friends' kids, not like the teachers, because teachers didn't really have say. But I'm talking like the higher ups who like had connections. People would be like,
The
yo, that's
administration.
just how it worked.
Yeah, that
Um,
is really how it worked, especially in a
I mean, my
smaller.
literal state tests were proving I was better than everybody, and none of them cared. Never got moved up. They said, no, you don't really deserve to be there. Like, and in ninth grade. So then it goes to ninth grade. And I also pulled C's in my eighth grade class because I despised this project because I already knew how to do all the grammar stuff. I couldn't explain how, like I said. It was just I knew. I knew it. I was like, I know. Like I know. I don't know how I know. I don't know why. But it was probably just because I
It
was a
just clicked.
bookworm. I read so much. Like literally, my seventh grade reading teacher actually knew how smart I was because I literally on Friday she had like a little library section like back there where you could check out books, and you were only supposed to have one out, but she would let me check out like three or four, sometimes five at a time, because um and like she never noticed because I would usually do it before she came in the room. I would just like put my book back, but she started reading the logs because most of the time I'd forget to put my name down. But then like whenever I actually started to, I got this like 300 or 400 page book. I forget what it was called, but it was so good. I remember what the cover looks like, so I'll have to find it at some point. But it was so good. And um, fuck, James, you might know. I think it was Peter something, and it was like the cover was with like the bag. He had like a bag.
I'm
He's
not
missing
gonna
his
lie right
eyes.
now. All I'm hearing is just the Elden Ring music and like some of your
Eyes.
words.
There it is. All right,
It
wouldn't be
is
I'm
Bad
trying to
Nightmarish Night
listen, but
without
all I
James
hear
on
is
it.
this.
the James
"Mm."
doesn't.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I
I love Elden Ring.
still gotta go through it. But
You do.
what was I saying? I
We were
just
talking
got.
about a book with a dude with a bag on
Oh
his
yeah,
head or
yeah.
something.
Well, anyway, yeah. I mean, it was really good. Main character was missing his eyes. But I checked that out on Friday. It was the weekend, and then Monday came, and I turned the book back in. She was like, "You're already done reading that?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I actually finished it on Saturday, so I had nothing to do on Sunday." Since I was like, I had nothing to do. I was like caught up in all my chores and everything. I was like, I didn't have anything left to read. She was like, you read that in a day? I was like, yeah. And I took the AR test, got a perfect, and everybody was like freaking out. And I didn't know why. It was just because I loved reading. I'd been reading at a very young age. And I'd been
Reading is
reading like
fire.
way higher levels just because like I was like, I want to. These books look interesting. Because I would look at the cover and then pick a book based on that because I was a child, but then it would be years higher and I'd read it. But anyway, ninth grade, I literally am pulling like D's and C's in my English, and I'm in the average class once again, even though my state tests continued to prove the point. And I was getting C's and D's, and I was playing. This was the first year I played football to see if I'd like it. Um, and I had to go up and like fix my work because I had a D in there. And it was like about to be an F, and if it got to an F, then I wouldn't be able to play in the game Friday. Because we like never got like JV games because we didn't have enough, and like we were actually gonna get to play one. So, and they actually needed people because most people were out. So I was actually gonna get to, even though it was my first year and I had no experience, um, but I had to go up and fix that. And I actually tried sliding by, and they were like, "You need to go up and do this, or you can't play." I was like, "Damn," because I actually didn't feel like fixing my work. I go and fix my work. I go up to the teacher's room instead of being at practice. I go through it, and I'm like, "So why is this a D?" And it was like my research paper. And then she was like, "Let's see what you have to fix." And then literally, I was missing a singular comma. She was like, and we looked for like 30 minutes. She was like, "Oh, here." And then we found that like one spelling mistake. And it brought my grade from a D to an 89%. And the other 11% had no idea why it was missing it, and the teacher couldn't even give me an explanation for. She hated me, and I don't know why. And then I had her senior year again, and then I became her favorite student. And we actually became cool, like, but I never understood why. Oh, maybe she confused me with the other Ben and thought that I was the one who said that she had gorilla arms because she had hairy arms, and there was this other kid in our grade named Ben, and he said that she had gorilla arms, and I think like people actually heard about it, like the staff might have actually heard about it because she was like a student teacher, she was in college, and he said that, which was obviously fucked up, but kids are ruthless.
Like, a lot of the kids just didn't give a shit. They would do anything.
Yeah, but she probably confused me with him or some shit. Because whenever she became an actual teacher senior year, I became like her favorite student, bruh. So, and we actually became cool. Like, I think she realized that I didn't say that fuck shit. She kind of apologized for it, but like indirectly, not really type thing. And that whole year I was like treated like that, getting my like, oh, I would go up and fix the one comma mistake or something that I knew was, some of them weren't even there in the first place. I swear she had to have edited some of those in. Like not all of them, but some. I swear, bro. Like that was how much they had a vendetta against me. And I still ended up getting my grade like pretty decent in the end. So I no hard feelings. I still got like a B on my report cards because I didn't really care about my grades at all. So as long as I passed, and the thing is, I had a lot of classes I enjoyed though, which was a good thing. So I actually did the work.
It makes me
Um,
think of whenever she, it was like a little bit after she became our student teacher, because I was in the honors English like
mhm.
version of that class. But like this was like I think everybody did this, which it was like you had to do a poem and like present it from the class and like kind of like you would get one Google Docs and you kind of make like a nice looking like customized poem looking thing, like get like a graphic or like have nice like colors on like the text and all that kind of stuff. And like people were making serious ones. Like our one friend, I don't know if I should.
Nah, I might as well not. They
But
say
pretty,
something that like will make me realize who it is.
yeah. He's a pretty like pretty much he was a great writer, and he always put his all in everything. You know who I'm talking about? Like, he spent way more time than he probably should have
Yes,
doing
yes,
his stuff.
yes,
Our
yes,
good
yes.
friend.
Yeah,
So you know what I'm talking about. His
yeah.
presentation was about family and how they were like kind of like his rock or whatever. Because like you had to like,
Oh man, senior
they.
year, you talking about his final
Well,
presentation?
no. This was in eighth grade. He did
Oh,
another
okay.
similar thing in eighth grade. Pretty much in our eighth grade honors English class, which that teacher was an amazing honors English teacher, like a top
Mhm.
tier teacher. Like, she should have been working at like a huge school, getting like a huge like salary. Like that type of teacher, like really deserves success because she was just that good at like being a teacher. And like she taught me. I was always like pretty good at writing, but I never like really took it seriously. But in that class, she really like like up to everybody's writing game pretty much. It was crazy. But
I would never do the homework in there, bro. And she was always so mad because she knew my star reading test, and she's like, "Why wouldn't you do the homework?" I'm like, "I don't feel like it." And I
yeah.
had her study hall, and so she used to. I used to just start doing. I had study hall right before our class, so I ended up just getting in the habit of doing the work in that class beforehand. But I would do it super shitty and
I
just act
remember
like I
those.
didn't know what I was doing. And she knew that. She fucking knew that I could do better, and she was like, "Whatever, you want to turn in garbage? Fine."
Yeah, it was funny, but I remember
I
we
would
had to
put
do
my
that
all in the
poem.
projects I liked though,
Yeah, we had to do a poem where we,
and like
we
the
had to use
Edgar
like
Allan Poe.
alliteration and like, like symbolism and
Dude,
all that kind of shit, right? And it was like that student teacher that Ben was like just
fall
talking about.
asleep on a stone. Literally, that dude. He
Oh no.
he. How else am I gonna let you know who it is? But he literally turned his in, and she was like a dead serious teacher. She was a great teacher, but she was like a super serious teacher. Bro, he's sitting at the group next to me, but like we were each on like the end of our tables, so like we were like right by each other. Even though we are at different groups, so we would talk sometimes. And he was like, "Here's my poem." I forget what it was called. I think it was just called like "Everybody pees, everybody poops," and he was literally like, "Everybody
What?
pees, everybody."
That's
And
what
he
yours
turned
was.
this
By the way, I
in.
could contribute now because
No,
I'm no
that's
longer
what his
hearing the
was, not
fucking
mine. That's what
Oh,
his
that's what
was,
his
not
opera
mine.
was.
music.
Everybody pees, everybody poops.
Yes.
Oh my
He
god.
turned this in, and I think he got like in trouble. He was told to change it. Bro, mine was about a pantsless party, and
Mine was
it was
about
actually
table
so
coasters.
fire. I think I actually got a good grade on that. But yeah, I was going with the flow. I was like kind of like freestyling in my head, and it would just was about a pantsless party because I used to write all the time. Like, I mean, I mentioned that in another episode. Like, it was since like seventh grade. Like, I just started writing like music and shit from the heart. But um, that helped with that project, and it made it funny. 'Cause it's easier for me to do like funny stuff for no reason sometimes. Like, it just comes to me, and it just came to me like in class, and I just wrote it down. Boom,
Makes you
done.
feel more creative, or like it doesn't make you. You're not like necessarily taking it so seriously, where you're like, oh, I need to think of the right thing. You're just more like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
We're
even
we're writing
I
this.
made sure it kind of made sense, and it just flowed like not like it was actually very linear.
Yeah, but back to
And then
oh, you're gonna say something else.
sorry, yeah. But then basically I get to 10th grade, and then that teacher is like, "Holy shit, how are you not in my honors class?" And I was just like, "I don't know. I've always been told I don't belong in there." She graded all my stuff. I literally got hundreds like every single time. And there was this one time that this girl was complaining in class because we were going over like our most recent project, which was like I think it was like a 10-page or no, it was eight. It was an 8-page paper, not including like the 1-page or 2-page works cited or whatever. And so it was like 8 pages of actual writing. Didn't need a bunch of sources or anything crazy, but this girl was complaining and was like, I don't understand how I only got like a 92% and I didn't get 100%. And she was talking about it, and she was like, I know I probably got like one of the highest grades, and then this other girl that was like, and these were the people that like had connections and were just so used to being handed good grades. Like, not that they had completely bad work, but like just because it was like my family knows your family type stuff, their grades were inflated a decent amount. Like they weren't going to be like D students or anything, but like they were like C or B mediocre work at best, like for most of them. Um, and not their fault because they probably would have just been A students if they didn't have like all that like inflation, like grade inflation because of like I said. But I didn't say anything. I never talked about my ability, by the way. I never talked about it during school, never bragged about it, never talked about how I was better than anybody. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm not really that good. And I didn't think I was. I thought I was actually bad. And then my teacher is like, yeah, huh? One person got 100%. And everybody was like, who is it? She was like, and then she said my nickname because since there were two Bens in that class and we literally sat next to each other, we were like best friends back then. Uh, I had the nickname of a certain DreamWorks movie protagonist. I'm not gonna say his name, but it's from the early 2000s. He has to save his ass. Uh,
Yeah,
type
he has
shit.
layers.
He is late. Yeah, but
He has
anyway,
layers.
and everybody was like, "What? How did he get 100%? No way!" And then like they didn't believe it, and she was like, "Oh, here I have a copy of it. Since I know you probably don't feel like reading it." I was like, "Yeah, I don't," because I used to joke around with my friends in that class all the time because we all got put next to each other, like at a table. But the best part is she let us sit there even though we'd goof off a lot because since I was actually good at writing and most of my friends weren't, I actually helped them a lot and they got a lot better. Like just from not even I didn't like tutor them or anything. It was just like I would give them tips in class and like on different styles of writing and stuff throughout the year, and they improved a lot. I mean, obviously, the teacher did most of the teaching because she was a fantastic teacher, but like whenever they didn't understand something and the teacher wasn't able to answer because there was a whole classroom, I would just help them. And it also is like easier to retain information from your friend. Because most of them wouldn't pay attention to the teacher, so you know.
Yeah.
And everybody was just in disbelief and thought it was just because I was her favorite that I got those grades. But then she would literally read some of my stuff out loud. She would ask me for permission. I was like, yeah, go ahead. And then show everybody why. And then everybody just stopped kind of questioning it. They still didn't agree with it, but they stopped questioning it. And it just
Dude,
disappointed me because they had such contempt for me, even though like, and my teacher because they thought it was being handed to me. But meanwhile, it was just because I had to put in the work myself. I read those books that were multiple years above and learned like at a faster rate than everyone else because I put in the time. Like, I mean, obviously, obviously, I have like a natural gift for it, but like I put in the time. And like I was also told that I was bad like all this time and like put down even though my tests always showed like my state tests like always showed that I was higher up and I just didn't understand why. I was like, maybe I'm just good at guessing or something. But no. And it just upset me that people couldn't just be like, oh, that's cool. Some people were, a lot were, but there was like also it was like 60% were like, oh, that's cool. And then like the other 40 was like, that's bullshit. What the hell? And
yeah,
it
but
just
that's like a
saddens
problem
me.
with
That's
a
like the
lot
daily
of
mindset
it's probably
of
a lot
like
of like groups of
everyday
people in
person.
school. Is like
Yeah, but
people just can't like sometimes again, I know some people are born with like, they might have just more of an inclination or like an affinity towards, math or like, some subject that usually everybody has like that one that like they're like either good at or that they like I wouldn't say because not everybody enjoys school or enjoys like doing stuff. But, like I used to enjoy history a lot and I was really good at like remembering just stuff in
you used to tell
history.
me random facts about a random date, and I would not
Exactly.
retain any of it. It was hilarious. But I just remember you always saying some
Yeah.
random thing,
It's just that like
teaching
I
me
loved
something new that
history.
I'd instantly forget.
Yeah, I just loved history so much that like, you know, I used to just retain it all because it was actually very interesting to me. And like I have something very similar to what like happened with you. Pretty much, our one friend. I don't know. The champion in Rocket League.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. You see, again, I'm the type of person that's like I would be in like advanced classes, but I didn't really want to be there because to me it didn't make any difference. Although what I will say is I was happy that I was in honors English in 8th and 10th grade because I there was so much value I got from those two classes that it made it worth it. But like for like advanced like math classes, I didn't give a shit. Like advanced chemistry stuff, I didn't give a shit. Like I literally the only thing that I willingly took advanced classes on, I took an advanced physics class that wouldn't have even helped if I wanted to be an engineer, and I also would take like I took like the advanced European history class and stuff like that, especially because of the teacher, because he was one of my favorite teachers. Although he used to get mad at me because I used to procrastinate a lot. And I wouldn't do the work, because you had to write down like definitions. Like we had to go. I mean, everybody would use Wikipedia, but you had to go on and write like like 10 pages worth of definitions like a week, and I wasn't about to fucking do that. So I literally I just would either wait. I would unironically wait until, because I had a first period study hall that year, and I would either just do it all in the first period study hall, or I would just copy it off of one of my friends because they would let me. Um, so yeah, that's literally what I did. But pretty much whenever, what was it, 10th grade? Wait, when did we? No, it was ninth grade when we had his history class. Everybody did, right? It
Yeah, it was ninth.
was ninth grade. So pretty much in ninth grade, he's a great teacher. I learned a lot of history from him, but most people don't really like history, or like they don't care. People wouldn't pay attention, or they wouldn't really pay attention, but then they would really like grind for like the tests and stuff, which is understandable. You want to if you want to have good grades, you want to have good grades, so you're going to work towards it. But pretty much I used to take them, and again, I'm a person that just kind of usually keeps to himself when it comes to like stuff like how good you did on test, or that kind of stuff, because I don't really care. It's not a contest to me who gets the best grade. I'm not like, oh my god, you're so lucky, or oh my god, I
Actually,
can't believe you got a
to me,
higher grade
grades
than me.
didn't really matter
Yeah,
as long as it was easy for me to get an A or B, I'd do it. And most of them
exactly.
were, but some of them, it was just like, no, I would actually have to put in effort in some classes like math and
Yeah.
stuff. I would actually have to put in effort, so I would just make sure I did the homeworks and pass with C's and B's. And I
Yeah,
made
so
it clear to my
essentially,
teachers. I was like, I'm only doing this much, and they were like, okay, as long as you don't fail and you stick to that, cool. And I did, and they were cool with it.
so essentially, what happened was I sat behind like one of the class clowns, you could say, of like our grade. Um, you know who he is, but I can't think of any references right now as to allude as to who he was. But pretty much I sat by him, and I would just like I wouldn't sleep because our teacher would like get on people for like falling asleep in class. But I would just kind of chill there, and I would just listen. I never took notes or anything because again, because whenever people can't understand something, they just believe that it's not true, or that you're lying, or that you're trying to do it because you want attention, or that you're bragging. When I'm not, I didn't try doing that. I promise, as well as I'm sitting here, I did not do that. The way that I learned, the way that it worked for me, was I would sit there and I would listen to him teach, because he taught everything by speaking, at least in that class. So I would sit there with like my head resting on my hand, and I would just listen. No notes. I wouldn't even do the like I usually wouldn't do the work until like after. This is whenever I still did homework usually. But, you know, I would just listen, and that's how I retained the information. I didn't need to study because I would listen so intently on the actual lecture, of the day, that I would retain that. And he made sure to get everything in, like he had it like perfectly planned through the years of his teaching. Like he had everything perfectly planned, I will say. And I use that to my advantage in the way that I learn, which is like I said, I listen. So we would take the test, and the tests were super difficult for most people because they were like 80 questions, and they were worth like 2 points each. So that's like, 100, like tests would range from like 100 to like 200 points depending on how many questions there were. And people would like sweat over that because like, every test had a huge impact on your grade because that's where a lot of the points went. And I would just, casually sit there, and we did all of our tests on our Chromebooks that they gave us back when we were in like 7th grade. But I would take them and, blah, 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 blah. I would usually be, again, it's not a race as well for me, but I work fast. Like, I think fast. I guess it's the way it's like, I think fast and I work fast, like, I'm just like, I'm answering fast. I like pretty much I have like momentum in my mind that I keep up, where like I'm just kind of in a flow and I just momentum my way through multiple choice stuff and like test in general. And that's what I do. So I would be like the first one done and I'd just be chilling there on my phone, and then the grades would come in and people would be like, oh man, I got like an 80 out of 100. That's pretty good, for this test. And people would be like, no, I didn't do really good on it. Or they'd be like, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, I never said anything because I barely like really talked to the people that were sitting around me anyway. I usually just kept to myself. And I remember like, no, it wasn't our teacher that said anything, but he knew that I did like that. I aced the test. Like we had like how many tests that year? There was probably like, for each week or every other week, there was a
It's like every 2
huge
weeks.
test. Yeah, it was like every 2 weeks there was a huge test, like of 40 plus questions, and I aced it like every single time. Again, that's not me trying to flex or anything because they were very difficult, at least according to the people in my class. But I aced them because that's just I have an affinity towards history. I just like listening. I retain the information a lot more easily than other subjects. It's just how it is for me. Obviously that's not how everybody is, but there's other people that are probably better at math than me or whatever. I don't really give a shit. But pretty much somebody asked me what I got, and I was like, oh, I got this. And they were like, what? How did you do that? Like, you don't even, and I was like, I just listen. And like, nobody would believe me. But like, the thing is, if they watched me during class, they would have saw that all I do is like listen. I mean, I guess they're assuming that I went home and like relentlessly studied over the night or some shit, which I didn't. And then the next year rolls around.
The thing is, I was somebody who everybody knew didn't give a fuck about history, and anytime somebody was saying that he definitely studied, I was like, nah, bro, because I don't even care about my grades, and you guys all know that. And I was like, we were playing games all day yesterday,
Yeah,
bro.
because we would literally like come home and just like play, the multiplayer game that we played, throughout the years or the different ones. Like we would unironically like play, and we wouldn't do any of our work or anything. It was just pretty much we kept all schoolwork in school.
Halls and like everything.
Exactly. And then the next year, that friend that I'm talking about, pretty much we had another history teacher who originally wasn't a history teacher, was a science teacher, and then became a history teacher. So you know who I'm talking about. And pretty much I used to I never studied because, funnily enough, I actually knew all the answers. I pretty much knew everything from me just like learning.
I mean, you used to literally watch history videos.
Like I used to watch history videos because I just loved history. Like I used to watch them.
Like history YouTube videos on the mic.
Yeah, and they were just so interesting to me. But I knew a lot about history. I knew more than that teacher because that teacher was a science teacher. You can't fault her for not having as much knowledge about history, but I did. She would let me teach classes. Like I would literally, she'd be like, okay, so if you know so much, Austin, like why don't you come up here and teach the class? And I would go up there and just teach the class for like 20 minutes. It was funny. But
the funniest part is that since he was actually like accurate, you're like, okay, I'll grade you guys' tests right now.
Yeah, and then pretty much during there was these tests and we were in a different class, and our one friend, he was like how much did you study to like get this done? And the thing is I was so tempted to say, oh yeah, I studied a little bit, but the thing is I'm an honest person, so I don't lie. So I said no, I don't study for those history tests. And he was like, what? He was like, you're fucking lying. Like he got like angry at me because, no offense to him, because he's really cool, but he's one of those people that just like, since he can't do it, he can't like fathom somebody else doing it, like that type of thing. At least at that time. I don't know about nowadays, but like at that time.
Yeah, not anymore.
And he was like, there's no fucking way like that you don't study at all. You always say that and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, like I'm not lying to you. I don't lie to people usually. I try being as honest as possible, right? There's no reason for me to lie to somebody. I'm not trying to do it to gain attention or gain recognition as a smart person, because you know what? Up until like the last 2 years of school, nobody freaking paid attention to me. I didn't really care, but like, nobody like really thought like, oh, there's Austin, the god king of our school, which I wasn't, but
The God
Yeah.
King.
But like pretty much, I never really let on that I was actually good at certain subjects in school and stuff because I was just more like I kept to
Exactly, me
myself.
either.
I just hung out with my friends. That's what mattered to me was just hanging around my friends during school. And I remember that. And then that same year during the final, another Austin,
I remember this.
another Austin was like, and this is a person that I've known since like preschool. He sat in front of me and he was like, "I'll give you all the money in my wallet if you can ace the final." Because our teacher announced that day that we were having she gave everybody 3 weeks to study for the final. I think honestly probably because she was first of all it was like over 100 questions, and I mean, it's kind of nice that she gave 3 weeks, but also it's probably because she wanted like the year to be over and just to chill. So she gave us like that amount of time. So then we really didn't have to do anything for like 3 weeks other than study. But
Yeah.
we were just like, yeah, I want to give you 3 weeks and then you can take the test. And then again, the other Austin that sat in front of me was like, I'll give you all the money in my wallet right now.
And
If
I
you
was
can
actually in this
ace,
class. We actually
yeah.
had this class together.
And he was like, I'll give you all the money in my wallet right now if you can ace the test right now. And
I bore witness.
yeah, and our teacher, because her and I had like a very like weird relationship where like she would like get mad at me. Like, I feel like I've pissed her off before, or like she would kind of like, I wouldn't say that she targeted me per se, but like you could tell that she really kind of like, I don't, you get what I mean? Like, it was kind of like, I don't know, it was weird, but she would be like, oh, like how she said, okay, why don't you teach the class? Or like, oh, why don't you like tell me about this? Or, all that kind of like, she would like try calling me out, but like, I always, she pretty much, she tried testing my gangster, but I always succeeded. That's like the best way to describe it.
Why
And then
this
she just
motherfucker valid, even though she was like kind of a dick to some people, like him sometimes, and then she was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then she was just like super nice to me and didn't care. I guess because I proved myself or something. I don't know, but pretty much she overheard that and she was like,
life easier. She was like, I don't got the reason to hate this man.
Yeah, and she overheard us because her desk was only like there was like one row of desks and then there was her desk and she was like, oh, you think you can take the test right now, Austin, and pass? And I was like, I probably could. I mean, I also want to win the money that he has. Because I was like, free money's free money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I took the test and I got a 90, what was it, a 98 out of 100. I missed one question or like 2 questions like in the entire test. And I took it the day that she like announced it was happening before she even gave us the study material. And I was like, yeah, well, I guess I'm done. And then for like 3 weeks, I did nothing except for just watch like Netflix on my phone.
Yeah.
Hey, Austin, don't mean to interrupt, but I'm fighting the boss that you want me to fight.
Yes,
Your favorite boss.
Oh, you're fighting Giga Chad.
Giga Chad himself.
Did you watch the cutscene? The cutscene's icy.
I'm watching it right now.
It's so wait, hold on, wait. We have to a moment of silence.
But yeah, he was like so close.
But he didn't give me the money because he said that I had to ace it, and I was like, damn, I missed 2 questions. I was like, you couldn't give me a consolation prize. I was like, no, I want to keep my money, and I was like, respectable, understandable.
It's fair. Fair enough.
It's like fair enough. I mean, I that's exactly how I'd be. Loophole.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, those were fun times.
I give you $1.
I give you.
$1.
What I would do is because I always had like packs of gum on me. I would just give somebody 1 piece of gum. I'd be like, here's your reward.
I'd be like, you know what? I'm up 1 piece of gum, and I got an A. And
exactly.
Today's a good day. Anything.
Exactly. I didn't have to do anything for the rest of that final quarter of the year. But pretty much the moral of the story is, just believe in yourself. You don't need confirmation from random people. I mean, obviously you'd want your friends and I wouldn't say family because I hate most of my family and I don't care what they think. So I wouldn't say, I would say the people who you yourself care about. Those are the way that they think is what matters. How they think of you or what whatever you're striving to be. That's what matters. Just remember that it's about you. Who gives a shit if random person number 23 in your class thinks that you're cheating on tests or that you study all the time even though that you don't, or you're great at singing and somebody who wants to be good at singing but isn't is jealous of you. That's their fault for being jealous. They should just be, grinding their vocals if they really want to, catch up to you or whatever. It just whatever, just keep moving forward. That's the moral of the story. Be inspired from
Don't
this.
feed into the doubt people may or may not have.
Exactly, because people like hating just to hate.
Because nobody wants to believe. Well, not nobody, but a lot of people just don't want to believe in other people doing well. They're like, oh, I'm not there yet. They can't be.
Exactly. Like if they're not successful, they don't want to see other people succeed, which that's not the way to be. The way to be is
We need
just
to change that mindset.
exactly. But
100%.
with that being said, this is the longest episode to date, I believe. Actually, maybe the last one. No, wait, I can hear my garage door closing right now. You just hear it. Just literally like vibrates my floor, even though that I'm on the like top floor of my house. But with that being said, I am Austin, the one who records. We also have Ben, the one who listens to music all the time and drinks coffee all the time. And then we have James, who doesn't usually pay attention. So
Thing is, I try to, but it's either
James, it's a lost cause at this point. We know.
I know. I'm not even gonna try and argue. Yeah.
But that was Bad Nightmarish Night, episode 4, where we pretty much just talked about personal stuff while also dancing around the names so we don't dox people.
Lore.
Yeah, some lore for us.
BNN
pretty much
drop.
Once we get the dedicated community that wants to hear about the Austin, Ben, and James lore, this will be like part of the mythos. This is like whenever you read an item in Elden Ring or like Dark Souls. So yeah, this was episode 4 of Bad Nightmarish Night. Hopefully it helped you get through your nightmare, your bad times, your tougher times. That's a Risk of Rain 2 reference right there.
I had to slip in a thank you like I always try to.
Yeah, you can never slip it in because I'm always speaking. I'm overpowering your voice. Okay, I'm sorry. But
that was terrible out of context. End it.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate all the listens and the likes and the, and the subscribes if you decide to do that. If you disliked but listened this far, I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah,
I mean, at least if you listen for the first 10 minutes and you're like, I don't like these guys are whack.
Terrible, because I don't even like myself, so I know how terrible it is listening to me too.
Exactly.
Make sure you guys love yourselves.
Yeah, love yourselves. That's an important thing too. That helps you grow as a person. But goodbye.